how to compute average of weekly high and low volume weighted average price or volume weighted average market price of 2 weeks. So what we will understand now, we will understand now. पहले हमने क्या देखा? Earlier we understood how to calculate the volume weighted average market price of a company's share for 26 weeks, for 52 weeks, or for 60 days. And that is where we learned how to calculate the volume weighted average market price for 26 weeks, 52 weeks, and 60 days. As you would have noticed, that in all these regulations, not only there is a reference for the volume weighted average market price for 26 weeks, 60 days, and 52, but there is also a reference, as you would notice here, there is a reference of average weekly high low weighted volume weighted average price. So we also need to calculate or need to understand as to how to calculate the average of weekly high and low volume weighted average price. कैसे कैलकुलेट करेंगे? ऑफ कोर्स इट इज़ वेरी सिंपल. सो अगर 2 वीक का कैलकुलेट करना है, सो टेक 2 weeks here, and in that case every week will have 5 days. So put the dates of both the weeks which are forming part of your 2 weeks, and then find out total traded quantity for all the 5 days of the first week and also all the 5 days of the second week. And this data will be available to you from the website of the NSE or the BSE, wherever the company may be listed. So that is the first thing that you do, that is find out the traded quantity on all the 10 days of those 2 weeks. Then simultaneously also find out the turnover of all the 5 days of the first week and all the 5 days of the second week. That means here you found the quantity, that is number of shares traded. Now what you find out the value of those shares that got traded on that particular in that particular week, the first week and the second week. Now what you do, now you calculate the volume weighted average marketing price. That means what? That means this is the value, 14,801 lakh is the value of the shares traded on 21st November 2016. Now divide this value of 14,800 lakhs by the number of shares that got traded on 21st November 2016, and that is your 16 lakh 39,425. So when you divide the turnover, by the number of shares traded on that particular day, what you get is your volume weighted average market price for that day. And likewise, you calculate this volume weighted average market price for all the days of the first week and then all the days of the second week. And now what you do, now you find out which is the weekly high volume weighted average market price, and you realize that the volume weighted average market price which is the highest in this week is 948.09. So write it out here. Likewise, find out which is the weekly low weighted average market price, and you realize this is 902.6. So write it out here. Same thing you do for the second week, and then what you do, take the total of all these 4 figures, this and this. ये चारों का आप क्या करिए, टोटल लीजिए, और वो चारों का जो टोटल लेंगे आप उसको डिवाइडेड बाय 4, you get an average of 9,933.85. So this 933.85, I am sure you can very easily understand, is the average of weekly high and low volume weighted average market price of 2 weeks, and this is how you will calculate your average weekly high and low volume weighted average market price for 2 weeks. I hope that this makes sense to every one of you. Now please remember, it's not that you can calculate only for 2 weeks using this methodology or using this format. You can do it for 26 days also, and you can do it for 52 days also. What you will have to do, you will have to increase the number of dates that you will consider for your calculations. And this is how, friends, you will calculate your volume weighted average market price or average of weekly of high and low. I hope this makes sense to every one of you. In case if you have any doubt, any question, you can please ask me, and I will be very happy to take your questions and take your doubts about it. Pooja?
No doubt, sir.
Very good. Dinesh?
No, sir. No doubt.
Very good. And Baman sir? अब देखो, ये इसके बारे में बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग चीज़ है कि अगर सडनली मैं आपसे पूछूं कि प्लीज़ फाइंड आउट एवरेज ऑफ वीकली हाई एंड लो वॉल्यूम वेटेड एवरेज मार्केट प्राइस ऑफ 2 weeks, एंड इफ आई गिव यू दीज डेट्स, इट विल बाउंस, इट विल क्या बोलते हैं उसको, एकदम आपको शॉक कर देगा वो. लेकिन आपने एक बार फॉर्मेट समझ लिया कि कैसे करते हैं, नाउ यू कैन डू इट एनी टाइम फॉर एनी ऑफ योर क्लाइंट ऑल्सो. कल को आपका कोई क्लाइंट आपके बोलेगा मुझे प्लीज़ हेल्प करो, यू विल बी एबल टू डू इट विद इन अ जिफी.